Say K hi. it's too big. Oh, yes, y'all. Wow. Shows I haven't even spoken today. My throat is full of frogs. All right. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Oh, shit. I guess I pressed this button. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are all around the world. My name is Ezekiel III. We're going to play Samson today, and you may wonder why I'm going so fast. It's because we got a short stream today. Because I got to go pick up the lady from the airport. So we got about 3 hours to play this game before I got to go. So let's fucking jump in. Let's not waste any time. Huh? Shall we? Yes. Let's go. First of all, let me just say thank you to Diridium with 107. Thank you very much. Vincent gifting a sub to Gob My Knob, and 5 more to Spartacaz, Saki, Loading Icon, Rupert Lionheart, and Choppy Chop FGC. And then Boone Phoenix with 125 months.
Hail Berserker!
All right. Let's check it out. All right, what is Samson? Samson just came out. Samson returns to Tindleston, a city that shaped him. That shaped him hard, where every fight is close and every escape is earned. He owes dangerous people more than he can pay, and they are using his sister to force his hand. The clock is ticking. The only way out is through anyone who stands in his way. Mixed reviews already. Oh man, mixed reviews. 400 reviews mixed. 49% positive. That's not good. 50-50 is not good. Yeah, this one came out today. Developed and published by Liquid Swords. It's $24.99, and I am not sponsored. This is not a sponsored stream. I'm just playing it because it looked cool. Man, I hope it is. I guess we'll find out. Is it just optimization? Let's hope. Let's hope it's just something that they can actually fix, and it's not because the story sucks or the game actually sucks. It's just, technical difficulties, which usually can be fixed. It's a passionless, joyless, derivative chore, and I wouldn't suggest playing it unless you're being paid to do so. Oh, man. Sounds like Mind's Eye to me, baby. You know how much fun we had playing that? Woo-hoo-hoo. What are my settings? Field of view 75. Oh, is this first person? I thought it was third person. That is white. That is some flashbang menu. It is third. Okay, good. Okay. Animation quality high. Yep. Okay. On, everything on. Okay. Video, good. DLSS quality. Ray reconstruction. Do we want that on? On, yes. Okay. We do want it on. Okay. I rely so much on you guys to tell me what fucking settings we need. Turn motion blur off, of course. Let's see. Unlimited frame rate, general background 30. Oh, hair strands on. Okay, sure. Film grain off. Okay. Oh, when alt tabbed. Oh, okay.
No.
That doesn't matter then. Okay. What else? Anything else? Audio's fine. Controls, accessibility. Subtitles on. Okay, good. Okay. Wait, what? Apply. There we go. Confirm. Okay. Okay. Yes, I did. I played the Mad Max game. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a little samey, but like the bones of the game were really good. But it got like a little repetitive, if I remember correctly. I didn't play it for too long. I think I didn't play it for more than 10 hours. I don't think. Xantos, thank you for 58 months. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. We got 3 power hours to do this before I got to pick up my lady.
Glorious pile of shit. Here I am, the prodigal son. The St. Louis job was supposed to be my big break. Legendary getaway driver Samson McCrae. Yeah, right.
Samson McCrae is my name.
What a shit show.
That's a fucking protagonist name.
Carter was clear. You're going off the reservation. Things go sideways, you're on your own. And boy, did they go sideways.
They went sideways bad.
Should've known better than to trust a mainland crew. Fucking amateur hour.
Subtitles are for ants, dude.
I had to eat that charge. Fuckers were gonna shank me in the pen.
Can I make the subtitles bigger?
My sister Una warned me not to take the job. I didn't listen. And as always, she has to clean up my mess.
Nope.
She goes and makes a deal with these St. Louis scumbags. They let us keep breathing if I pay back what was lost. Plus interest. Una's being kept as collateral in St. Louis. If I don't deliver, we're both going down.
What a name, Una. Ooh. O-O-N-A-G-H.
Place to crash.
Jesus.
Small stuff mostly, but the money's gonna have to trickle in. Tindleston, you owe me.
Okay.
These streets are my streets.
I'm gonna
I'll have
squeeze
this
you.
dead in no time. And Samson McCrae will be back in the game.
All right, so you're basic like they got my girl, my mom, my wife, my sister, and I got to pay them back or else they'll kill her. Got it. When she was born, the doctor was like, "Ooh, nah." All right, I'm getting up.
Here we go.
All right, let's look at this picture. Hey, look at, there you go. There's some cleavies.
Gotta get that.
Gotta get that.
Samson, been too long.
Carter, hey. Likewise.
How you holding up?
Hungry. St. Louis breathing down my neck.
I heard. You owe a lot of money.
Tell me something I don't know. That's why I gotta work. Keep the wolves fed.
Things have dried up since you've been gone. No big scores anymore. Just a steady trickle of nickel and dime stuff. But
Fetch
I'll
quests.
feed you the jobs I find. Make sure you can chip away at that debt.
Got anything for me right now?
A few things. Take your pick. Oh, and Samson, don't make me look bad.
Never do.
You mess up, you don't get
Carter.
paid. Your
Carter's
car's up
my
front.
guy.
Let Floyd drop around. All right, you get cracking.
Thanks, Carter.
Don't thank me yet. A lot of work to do to clean up that St. Louis mess.
So what's the standard thing that people say like for fetch quests? It's like you got to go get blank, and it's like a standard like everybody says this thing, like sow's asses or something like that. Bear asses, that's what it is. You got to go get 10 bear asses. Open the map,
What
look
you
for
got
jobs.
for me, Carter?
All right, select the job, make him pay. Nope. There we go. Place a waypoint. Close the map. Your car is parked across the street from the apartment. Let's go. Or not. Not this way. Maybe I can. Hold on. Let me just get out of here. Can I just get out of here? Can I just climb over? No. Okay. All right. I won't go that way. Hey, more hot chicks.
If a cop pulls you over in Texas and asks if you have a weapon, say yes or they'll think you're crazy.
Talk to the hand with the big middle finger. I get it. That's a great one. Hold on, what was the X one? Oh, kick. Oh, yeah. Kick it. Oh, I can only kick certain doors. Your car is parked outside the apartment. It will always be marked on the map. It can be summoned to your current location. Call vehicle, oh, right on the D-pad.
Welcome home.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh. I was just checking the controls. My bad. Oh, and they all run away, of course.
Oh, you thing of beauty.
Let's go. Yep, put me in a car right away. That a boy. That a game.
That's what I'm talking about.
You just smashed the sandwich board. Oh, smash board to unlock nitro flasks for your car, increasing the amount of nitro boost you can use. Okay.
Shit.
What? God, that garbage bag was full of cement blocks.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oops.
That's what I'm talking about.
Whoops. Not that way. All right. Okay. Whoops. Damn it. Sorry, just had a text. Just had a text from the lady. You know Saul Rosen, degenerate gambler, owes us a lot of money and thinks he's protected. Show him he's not. He works a desk at the fish plant.
Let's go to work.
Friend from Australia was bummed he didn't get a job working with marsupials. He didn't understand. He had all the necessary qualifications. Okay, let's see.
Ain't nobody loyal in South
Oh,
Bend
I pressed X and I took some drugs. Nope. Is it? There we go. Left stick. Left stick to run awkwardly.
Step back.
Wait, are you the guy? Oh, get inside Chubbs and find the manager. Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta get inside the building. Okay. X gonna drug it to you.
This motherfucker could eat my fist.
Reach into your pocket, it's real. There we go. Oh, not there? There. Okay. Yep. Wait, what?
Could've walked away.
Somebody hit this.
Oh, my combat rush is activated. Oh, I okay. Yeah! I'm fucking mad now! I took some drugs on accident, again! I pressed X to fight! Oh, parry, oh, there we go. That's what I'm not doing, okay.
You shouldn't have done that.
Come on now. I'm gonna work on my parry. There you go. That's it. That's it. Oh, painkillers. Very max pain.
You shouldn't be here.
Move it.
Your adrenaline bar is full. Activate adrenaline rush to deal massive damage for a brief period of time. You'll be able to upgrade your adrenaline rush abilities as you progress through the game. Okay.
Could've walked away.
Just gonna grab that real quick. Oh, take out cell permanently. I guess that was it. I guess I did it. Got him. Stop. Oh my god, that X taking fucking painkillers is gonna be... That's gonna be weird. I'm gonna probably heal up way more than I need to because X is heal. And also kick the door down. Can you reassign the button? I don't know. Are we gonna fight? No, you're good. Okay. Adrenaline shot. Oh, I see. Okay, so if my adrenaline wasn't full, I could shoot it. So I could shoot up a little. Oh, frozen fish melee weapon. You picked up a melee weapon. They hit harbor, likely to break. Keep an eye out for bricks, bottles, pipes, and other improvised weapons in the environment. While wielding a melee weapon, you cannot grab or shove enemies. Okay. Swing weapon, throw weapon. Oh,
Just you and me, asshole.
there you go. Have a fish.
Could've walked away.
Sure. Okay, the right stick thing. There it is. Okay, so right stick is like a finisher. Okay. Pop quiz, hot shot. All right.
Next.
Oh. Okay.
Beat your ass.
Oh, that was it. That was my finisher, was just like a slam to the nose. Okay. All right, now where's my car? There it is.
That one's for you, Anna.
Oh, okay, job completed. That's all I had to do. Cool. All right. Oh, so jobs, once you complete jobs, time moves forward. Okay, I get you. All right. Yo, Crazen, thank you for the 149 months.
Entertaining people on Twitch.
Thank you so much for saying. You've earned enough XP to gain a skill point. The main ways to gain earn XP are complete missions, defeat enemies in combat. Go to the skills page. Increase your attributes to unlock additional skills using your skill points. Okay. They really need to put dark mode on this shit, man. I think. I don't know. You think gamers like bright screens? You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Let's see. Instinct. The streets of Tindleton are flowing through my veins. I feel the city breathing, poking my eyes. I would still find my way. Oh, okay. Health and adrenaline goes up. Health and finesse. Adrenaline and power. Yeah, adrenaline and power, you bet. Let's do. Sure. And. Okay, oh, 0 points. Okay. Oh, okay. You gain adrenaline when you take damage. Okay, I automatically get these. These are just the explanations of the thing that go across. Okay, got it. Perks. I don't have any of this yet. Okay. And I have 0 points to spend, so. Yeah, okay. Hi, buddy. Sorry I didn't pet you. I'm sorry. The chat is here to remind me, pet my fucking dog. I felt him breathing on my elbow. Oh, you're gonna get super excited. Mom's coming home today. Oh, it's gonna be a great day for you, buddy, huh? It's gonna be a great day for you. Mom's coming home. Everything's gonna be swell. Yeah, everything's gonna be great. All right, let's get back in the car. Oh, cash held due today. All right, now let's do this job. What's this one? Market Street and Gamble Mill. Delivery. Oh, available noon, evening, and night. Okay, so let's go there. Hey, we're not. I'm friendly. Am I friendly? Take the job. Okay, get ready in 2, 1.
Let's get this done. No fuck-ups.
Don't do that!
Move it! Fucking hell.
Shake it off.
Sorry. I was like, in 3, 2, wait a minute. I got pulled out of my car. What do I do now?
That's what I'm talking about. Sealed delivered.
Oh, okay. I just sit in my car long enough. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, shush! I promise you, there's nothing worth barking at.
I'm good.
I'm good. Are you good? Not as good?
Package delivered.
Job complete. 500 bucks. Okay. That's evening. Now it's nighttime. Okay. Please stop doing that. Okay, what's this one? Okay. One moment. She just needs me to notice her. Like, Dad! 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 Mom! Somebody! Okay, you noticed me. Thank you. Okay, good. Oh, wait, what is this job? Beat down. Oh, noon, evening, or night. Okay, so I can trouble in the ditch. Some kids think they run the place, hitting civilians and robbing transports. Remind them that they don't. Okay.
Got it.
Sorry, guys.
Shit.
You shouldn't be standing in front of the sandwich boards that I need to run over. Okay. Just kids. Beat down. Sure. Reach the wannabes. Okay, let's go.
Let's clear some debts.
Oh, how far away are they? Okay.
All that gear, not one real single exterminator.
Some night, I tell you.
I only drink when I'm winning.
Wow.
Lucky for me, I'm winning all day.
I'm winning all the time. Nope, not there. How about here? Yep. Who wants some?
Stay out.
I'll make it.
Who else wants some? Oh, there we go. Oh, cash. Let me get the cash. Ow.
Carry me too.
Here we go again.
Wow. Okay, that guy was good at blocking and parrying.
Now that is how you do it.
Okay. Just kids. and I beat their asses. Any more children asses I need beating? That's easy money right there. Just beat the shit out of some kids. You have 0 action points left. Return to your crib and sleep. Oh, that's okay. So time goes on. I need to sleep. Okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't even use my adrenaline shot. Oh, I'm gonna try to use my my car collar. Here we go. Oh shit, it just appears right there. That's awesome. Okay, hold on. Let me just make sure that's what happens. It doesn't drive up to you. No driver. It just... Where did I park my car? Oh shit, it's right there. How convenient. Okay, let's see if that works again. Yep, that's all it does. It just like appears. It's like, oh shit, that's right. I parked it right here. What's in the trunk? Oh, nothing yet. Oh, nothing yet.
Step off, asshole.
I could get blamed for trying to survive it.
Oh, come on. So, okay. Grand Theft Auto, it is not. I cannot steal the cop car. At least not yet.
Fuck.
Shit. Shit, I'm gonna have to clean that off my windshield. Shit. Is this original IP? Yeah, I believe so. Wait, do I live up? I live upstairs, right? Yeah, okay. Netflix! Oh, sorry, different game.
Una?
Who else? I'm going crazy down here, Sam. I mean, they treat me okay, but punching numbers, tweaking accounts, the shit's below me.
I know. I'm sorry.
Look, I know you wanted better for us, but I did tell you not to take that gig.
I never should have left, sis. But Carter, Tommy, they're family, I know.
I understand. The way Carl
Yeah, Una's her sister.
I can't really blame you, but you should have worked it out with me before you just jumped on it.
I know. I always do this. But I am trying now. I am trying to keep the wolves at bay. I'm gonna make it right.
Yeah, whatever. At least you didn't get shanked in the can.
You saved my life, sis.
Yep. And you've saved mine 100 times over. Look, I gotta go. I'm out of smokes and I need a stiff drink. I'll call you soon.
Wait, that's what our dad said. And he never came back. Wait a minute. Go to sleep. You'll wake up at noon the next day, replenished AP and health with new jobs available. Okay. Nope, I don't sleep in there. God damn. For being a lowlife, his fucking apartment's got a nice fucking floor plan. He's got a lot of square footage in this place. Oh, do I just fall asleep on the couch? Oh, like a real bachelor? Yep. Fall asleep on the couch.
I'll have this debt paid off soon, sis.
With my clothes on, of course. Man, that sounds familiar.
Another day, another chance to get Una out of that mess in St. Louis.
Current debt, 100,000. 2,000 due today. And I have 2,500. I'm good. Oh, I got a skill point available too. Let's see. Heal a small amount for each takedown that you perform. You deal more damage with low health. You heal slowly in combat while adrenaline is full. Your side rams deal more damage. Does every one of them just cost one? I guess we'll find out. Yep, looks like it. Okay. Yo, what up?
Yeah,
Sammy, get your feet wet yet?
gotta get a little.
Good man. Hey, how about we raise a glass or two to your return? Swing by the double tap tonight. I'm buying.
You buying? All right, I'll see you there.
Sounds good. All right. Your first chapter is available. Particular chapter is only available at night. Complete jobs to move time forward. Okay, sounds good. What's this? Cigars? Prime Cubans. Catch good price on the mainland. Okay. Oh God, the stickiness of that. Okay, so only evening for this. I wonder if I have to actually go to pay somebody. Yeah, Gold's Gas is like family. It's a takedown. Take down the crew that hit Gold's Gas in South Street. This one's personal. 1,500 bucks. Straight shot from here. Oh, what's this? Still stolen goods, still smoking, fresh off the truck. Oh, video cassette recorder. Oh, okay. So video cassette recorder should tell you what period of time this takes place. Also, no cell phones. So what is this? Late 80s? Yep, CRT. Late 80s, early 90s. Oh, they do have computers. You're right. They had CRT computers, so early 90s. Ooh, a combat magazine. Collect magazines to upgrade your adrenaline rush ability. Oh, and they have a collectibles list. Oh, that's fun. Oh, there's the combat magazines right up top there. If I collect 5 of them, I get an adrenaline rush upgrade. 10 of them, so on and so forth. Okay. And car magazines, same thing. Okay, cool. Oh, and this is how many sandwich boards there are in the game. God damn. Where did I park? Probably right here.
Some days you just wake up.
I'd imagine. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Oh, there's thugs right by my vehicle.
You got a debt to pay, McCray. Lucky bastard.
Next.
Today. Just by my deal.
There we go. Give me the cash. Yeah, give me the cash. You've encountered debt collectors for the first time. It won't be the last. Pay your daily due or they will return in greater strength. You pay at the... Oh, the end of each day when you go to sleep. Okay. So I will pay them when I go to sleep automatically, apparently. Okay. I don't know why I'm driving. I could have just walked. I mean, it's right here. Okay, take down the crew. Let's go. Go to Gold's Gas on South Street.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, okay. Driving's great. Driving's fine. Feels fine. The thing about it feels like you're driving a muscle car. So it's slow to accelerate, but it's fast when it gets to top speed. Where do you think you're going? Got him. Now hold on. My car is gonna get destroyed before theirs is, it looks like.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh shit, oh, I got a damage boost I can use in my car. Yeah, that's the adrenaline. Oh, come on! I can't pit him. Shit! Come on. There we go.
God damn, that feels good.
Feels good to be a gangster. Lil, come here. Come here, Lil. What is your deal? Fucking weirdo. What are you barking at? There are people, other people in the world. They live outside of these walls. I know it's hard to imagine, but there are other people that live outside of these walls. Yeah, my car is completely fucked now. Is there something I can do about that? Oh, there we go. Yep. I bet that's it. A big old wrench. Little pan spray. Nope, not this way. Oh, there we go. Oh my god, $1,000 fucking dollars? So I only made 500 on this, on that fucking mission then.
Probably get a look there.
Less than 500. God damn it, dude.
I like cars. And punching.
Oh, so there is gas. Okay, what's this back here? Oh, my wheels can get damaged. Okay, so I got wheels, engine, and... Okay. Now, to the mission, because we can go there. Oh, night only. Okay. So let's go do this. The many muggings of Dave Schultz. Dave Schultz boogie mugged 3 times this month, probably playing both sides. Shadow him, handle it if he is. Shadow him. Oh, I don't like the sound of that at all. Z, can you get out of the car and go back in? I think you can do ramming, but the buttons only show... Oh, when you first get in? Okay. Oh, kick down is left bumper. Side ram. Oh, side ram is X. Okay, okay. So there is like... The car has buttons to do melee. I'll take the job. Locate Dave's bookie. All right, Dave.
You fuck!
Sorry, my bad. I was in a parked car.
Feeling brave?
Feel brave tonight? How brave?
I'm allowed to be mad, baby. I earned the right to this anger. You want something, honey? I'm allowed to be mad, baby. I earned the right to this anger.
She's allowed to be mad, baby.
I'm allowed to be mad, baby.
Okay, I get it.
I earned the right to this
That's 3 times in less than a minute.
Sure I can. Buildings change hands. You're out.
Oh, you think you could just turn up at my home and throw me out?
I just did.
Where am I supposed to go now?
I don't give a shit.
This is my home. Please.
Not anymore, it ain't.
Don't mind me, I'm just walking. I'm just walking in my leather jacket and my hoodie. My jeans, my chain wallet, looking cool. God damn, I can't tell you how much this guy is me. Yep, I picked up a pipe, no big deal. Don't worry about that. I'm RP walking here! Hold on, I gotta take a picture. Okay. No, stop. Stop, you gotta go. Stop admiring. Point of interest, detailing, okay, you can find and interact points to unlock more action points for use each day, okay. Take them all out, all right.
From being fucked.
You see his face?
Stand still.
Hey.
Shit. Drop that on me.
That's for you, sis.
Job completed. Yahoo! All right, it's nighttime now. I can go meet with what's his face. Give me some painkillers. I'll take some. Hold on. Let me take some more. The chapter Blood on Tap is now available. Check your map. Yeah, I got it. Cash. Painkillers, cash. Give me some more cash.
Oh shit, is that?
Does it tell me how much cash I picked up? I mean, I'm sure I could like do the math, but I'm just wondering if there's like a pop-up that says you got 20 bucks or something.
You want something, honey?
Let's see. You got an amount of money. Yay. Back alley syringes give me adrenaline. Don't they do that for you? When I pick up a random back alley syringe, it just pumps me up. The Tinston Brewery. There's nothing pure about that swill.
Be straight up with me or shut the hell up and save us both the time.
What happened to my city? The suits of the
Cobb Square Station. Place really jumping in the 60s. Carter used to deal bennies to the beatniks when he was a kid. Oh, I can't. Oh, come now.
You want to hug or something?
Really? I can only hit it with my car. All right.
Leave. But for what? It's all a waste of time.
I would love a hug, actually. You want a hug or something? If I say yes, are you gonna give me one? Oh no, shit, I'm dropping frames. Uh-oh. No, the stream is dropping frames. That's me. I don't know what happened. Okay, just a momentary hiccup. Should be back up. Should be fine.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the second time in as many days. I don't know what's going on. Just minor hiccups though. Nothing too long lasting. And it's on my end, so it's not Twitch doing it. It's on my end. If I can see it in OBS, that means it's me. Somehow. All right. Meet up with Carter in the double tap. Take the job. Zeke, Twitch posted on X, you may see some drop in frames as large amount of people leave your stream. Fuck you, dude. Yo, Nimby with the 68 months. RoboBlake, oh, I missed you. Thank you for the 124 months there, RoboBlake. I do appreciate it.
There he is. Man of the hour.
There's
I
the
can't believe you
man.
made it out of that shithole.
All right. Nate, Carter, Tommy, fucking great to see you guys.
St. Louis? The fuck were you thinking, man?
Leave it, Tommy. Sam's back. That's all that matters. What are you drinking, Samson?
Whiskey. Neat. At least the double tap's still the same.
Some things they can't touch. It's ours.
He even drinks the same thing I do. Whiskey neat. Come on, let's go.
Now, but we gotta start making moves, Carter.
Can it, T?
With you back, we can turn this around, Samson. I mean, you seen the state of things out there.
Neighborhood's fucked. What's up with all these junkies?
Yeah, that's that white whisper shit. The streets are flooded with it.
It's some designer crap. It's killing us.
No, it's the other outfits pushing it that are killing us.
Hey, Tommy, brother. Take it easy. We'll take care of this shit.
That's right. I need you two out there earning. The old way. Show these punks we still got the goods.
Oh, fuck yeah. Can't wait to get back on the street. I'll take that whiskey now, Nate.
You gonna drink that gutter swill? Or you wanna smoke up with me?
Hey, you take that shit outside, T.
Oh, the smell bothers Carter's sensitive constitution. Let's go out back, Samson.
No, I'll pass, Tommy. Me and Carter need to catch up.
Your loss.
All right.
How's Una?
Keeping it together as best she can, given she's stuck there and I'm here. Can't believe I fucked her over like I did.
Well, what's done is done. She'll keep it together. She was always the level-headed one.
I'm only breathing because she put her neck on the line.
Odds that this guy betrays us? I'm putting on like 3-1, maybe even 2-1. This guy's gonna betray us hard at some point, like in the third act.
Listen, Carter, you need to keep the work coming. I'm serious.
I know. Don't worry, I got you, Samson.
You know Carter won't leave you hanging.
What the fuck was that? Oh shit, they shot Spider!
Oh, come back here, you fuckers! Hey! You're dead. Come here.
Oh, fuck! Cop Street Game's finished!
Oh, this guy's 11.
Damn it!
Oh, okay. Now check on Nate. Okay.
I got one of the fuckers.
Nate's in a bad way.
I called the doc. She's on her way, Carter.
What about the others?
Took off.
Fuck!
The car, it's a lead. Can't be too many with that paint job on the streets. I'll ask around.
That was a Tech 9 back there.
That's Antoine Jackson. He's been moving modified semi-autos for a while now.
Wow.
I'll go see if I can get him to open up a little.
Where the hell's Doc?
On the way. Hold on, Nate. You just hold on.
Find him, Samson. Handle this.
Don't you never ask.
All right, let's go. Chapter completed. And now I gotta go to sleep because I'm tired. Oh, I still have a skill point to spend too. Yep. I'll chase him down. Don't worry. But in the morning, after I have a nap, please, if you don't mind. Let's see. What else? Disarming parry? Yeah, let's do it. Seems like I'm doing a lot of fighting. The double tap. There never was a place dear to my heart. Hey, it's right there. I do like that mechanic. That's fun. All right, let's go home. Hold on, before I go to bed, I can definitely, I'm awake enough to take some pictures. Ziegler Auto Mechanics. Yeah, old Yan tried hard to rush this place in the ground. I sold him thousands worth of boosted stuff over the years. Who would have thought that Yan would have turned out to be such a piece of fucking cunt shit? I'm guessing that's what it said. I found a car magazine. Oh yeah, definitely Mafia vibes from this, for sure. Also, there's no radio in the car. No radio, huh? Interesting.
Just ain't no chance.
This station's old, but all I remember is Joey Costello throwing my dad down the stairs, teeth clattering everywhere. I still think about that piece of shit bawling in his own blood. So I got a bad relationship with my father? No, I would have never guessed. Oh shit, my house is right here. Prince Ali gifting out a sub to talk to Sam's on, and Vincent giving a sub to buy driver's license online. All right. Time to go home. Oh. Is that what year it is?
Sky rockets in flight.
There's the music. Whoop. Oh, adrenaline shot. At your apartment. We'll leave the light on for you. Why do I have clothes in the tub? Oh, because I wash them in there like Saturday Night Fever. All right. Guess I'll take a nap.
One day closer to clearing this debt.
All right, payment due. Paid.
Another day, another chance to get Una out of that mess in St. Louis.
Wow, 3,000 due today? Well, at least I have it, jeez. Each noon evening night from now on will have a randomized powerful perk. Utilize them to increase your survivability and maximize your daily earnings. Perks. Oh, I got thick skin. You gain a small defense bonus in combat. Okay. Yeah, there needs to be a dark mode for those menus, guys. Those menus are far too bright for our shut-in eyes. Silver ball. Double tap got hit. Somebody yelled for Carter. Nate got caught in the crossfire. Someone's going to pay for this. A souped up street racer peeled off the scene. I'm going to hit up Floyd and see if he knows anything. Sure. Oh, does that pay anything? 500 bucks. Yeah. Well, that's noon, evening, and night. So maybe we go get some money for. Oh, the jobs have like times of day. Or, oh no, that's the cost. That's the time cost. Oh, okay. That's how much daytime they cost to do. Okay. Let's do piracy on Pine Street Pier. Oh, cross the bridge. That costs 3 time. There we go. Let's do this one. That's only cost 2 time. What?
I remember when he used to walk me home.
Can we get bitches in this game?
I walk home alone while he sits in the damn bar.
Hey, what up, legs? Hey, what up? Look at those legs. Come on in. You wanna ride in my muscle car, baby? Hold on. 1 second. I gotta take a real quick picture.
I don't know what they were serving last night.
There we go. South End, you dirty, miserable piece of shit. I love you. It's good to be home.
Day hanging out with Michelle before she left. We had some good times.
Yep, fuck, dude. I don't know what's going on. My frames are dropping. They're dropping again.
Who the fuck would do this to me? I never did nothing to no one.
Come on, catch back up. What's happening? Oh, yours were dropping on Monday? Scott? Okay. We have different providers. Yeah. And it's so weird because it's like, it'll go down there. Now we should be steady again, but it'll go down to like 3,000 and then jump up to like 24,000 kbp. It's like, cause I'm at a steady, like when my stream is steady, it's like 8,000-ish kbp. But when it's dropping, it goes down to like 2,000, and then it jumps up to like 24,000. Fucking weird. I gotta say, it is very weird to be driving in a game like this with no radio. Am I just stupid? Is there a radio that I'm not noticing? Maybe it's, yeah, the server. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't complain about music. I should never complain about music. Someone will provide it. Thanks, Sicily. Thanks for the tunes. I'd rather listen to 1-800 Cars for Kids a million times in a row than that fucking tune ever again. All right. Gotta go, gotta get a heist, gotta get a car. Oh, get a car right there. Okay.
Let's go to work.
Go to the pickup on Park Ave. Okay. I'm assuming they want it in one piece. Well, mostly one piece. Hey, Rubbin's racing, it's fine.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
Still trying to rolling over and dominate.
Still what now? Still trying to rolling over and dominate. Thank you for the 79 months.
Got it.
Damn it. Wait for our guys. Hold on. Let me just take a picture. Jono Engines. Guys tuned to Mean Street Machine True. They're pricey as fuck, like Floyd's always said. These guys are gonna have the work and rest you get in attitude.
Son of a bitch.
Now this feels like Mind's Eye. It said wait for them. Do I mean wait for them in the car? I just have to be in the car. I was still in the green circle, I thought. And I can retry, but it'll cost me 1 action point. That is weird. It just said wait. It didn't say like. I mean, am I silly for wanting them to say like wait in the car? If that's what I need to do. No, I mean, the game isn't bad by any means. Like, as far as, like, people were having a lot of problems technically, like, with, like glitches and technical problems and stuff like that. Like, I haven't experienced much of that yet. This is the first time where I was kind of like, what? I failed the mission. I was in the green circle. I just wasn't in the car. Is that how I failed? And they penalized me 1 action point. I only get to do, like, 3 things in a day. Sometimes 2 if the fucking mission deems it. Halle Berry's fart pillow giving a sub to Smored Low Key. Thank you very much for that. I also don't like that the shit I've done doesn't stay done. Place is changing. Used to be lawless waste of broken glass, perfect for us kids to play in. Broken glass and gutted. Dude, get in the fucking car. Pretty please, with sugar on top. Get in the fucking car. That the sandwich boards that I've broken don't stay broken. You gotta break them again after failing a mission. I wish they would just stay broken. Because there should be another one. Yep, right there. And there should be another one right here. Oh, there's 2 of them. I don't even know why I care. I guess we don't like that guy. He's running for mayor? Oh, whoops. Not enough power. There we go. Wait for our guys. Okay, I'm waiting. There we go. Let the guys get in.
Report to the 211 in progress.
Blue lights, great.
Units in the area? Dispatch, this is Unit 213 right nearby. Clear to respond. Understood. Are you able to engage?
Done it, bro!
Unit 213 closing in on the perp. Copy that. Report back when possible.
Wow, I ran straight into that guy.
I see your face!
I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Whoa, don't fail the mission now, bro. Oh, fuck, they caught me again.
Wreck this asshole! Lost the pigs! Shit, pigs are back! Bye, piggies!
I got a sandwich board.
Bye, piggies!
Okay, we lost the cops. We did it. There's more cops. Okay, we're fine though. They're not looking for us anymore. Yeah, I think, what are we driving? A Mercedes? Yeah. It's pretty tanky.
Crazy driving. Let's do this.
That's right, I'm crazy, man. I'm totally out of my mind crazy. Shrubs 38, thank you, Shrubs. Also, Keel Sab with 72. Lumi with 102, tier 3. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. God damn, that fucking thing took me. Because I failed it once, it took me 3. Oh, I got a new perk. Driver, all vehicle jobs gain a small money reward increase. However, yeah, we better do this now. Just in case there's not enough to do it later. Because I don't know if because I have 3 action points left. I have 3 action points left. But if I don't do this, if I do like something that takes 2 action points and I have 1 left, can I still do the last mission? So if I take this job, does that mean I can't take this one? Because I only have 2 action points left. Yeah, piss on it. Let's just go. I have enough money. Yeah, I've got 3,000 bucks. I've got enough to pay for what I owe today. I just gotta make up for it tomorrow by not failing any missions, I guess. Oh my God, Karangor with 10 more gifted subs. First, let me say, Shrubs, thank you for the 38 months, and your fart, thank you for your fart. Karangor, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. To Paranoid 312, Kenji Jude, Tinball Plays, Burnswell, Code, CDK Brian, Fat Pharaoh, Wanake, Ice Phoenix 5, Beak, Panda, and Atreides NL.
Hail, Berserkers!
Thank you so much, Karangor, for those. Very generous of you.
Got it.
Hold on one moment. There we go. Let me take a picture. Of Fishhead construction becomes tedious. All these rusty shitholes that people I know buried in them. Be nice to see just once a hole in the ground without a fucking body in it. Do you have something special planned for Katie's welcome home? I mean, sort of. All the dishes are done and the laundry's all done and everything's clean. And I packed up most of my office. Make dinner and you're a keeper? Don't know yet. We're still applying for apartments, Clarion, so we're not on the move yet. We're just getting ready to. All right, go talk to Floyd about the car. I will take the job. Floyd. Floyd? There's Floyd.
Floyd.
Samson McCray. I can't believe you're back. You still racing?
In better days. Look, I need your help.
Anything, man.
I'm looking for a car. Silver, red stripes, loud, tricked out.
Yeah.
Stop moving the camera!
I think I know it. Got the LSGT installed? SSD wheels?
Sounds about right.
Chucklehead who owns it calls it the Silver Bullet. Poly Flash. He in trouble?
Mm-hmm. His car was used in the double tap hit.
That little motherfucker. He's got a garage over by Cobb Square. And when you wring his neck, tell him Floyd Quintero says hello.
I will.
Oh, I will do, Floyd.
Oh, will do, buddy. You know, I like driving around this car. I should probably fix it up.
Got it. Got it.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah, it's got my colors too. Yeah, the car. Yep, black and red.
Hey, fucker! Don't you fucking run! Ugh. Shit.
God damn it! I'm pressing X in the car, but it didn't seem to do anything. Maybe I just need to be in my car for that to work. And also, I think I'm used to the fucking Carmageddon's car. These cars aren't nearly as fishtaily or squirrely. What am I hitting? I did something there. That was me pressing X. Go! Oh, nice of him to wait for me. Why? What's he gonna do now? Oh, fucking teleported.
Shit. Gotta let Carter know about this.
Oh. Okay. Call Carter to report in. Oh, there's payphones. Okay. I should have got some answers. I got some answers. The answer is what happens when a guy gets hit by a car. And the answer is he dies. Vincent giving a sub to fucker.
Yes?
Found the driver. Got a name. Dallas. Ring any bells?
No.
I got a name.
But I'll put some ears on it. Till then, keep digging.
I got a name. I heard it over the crunching of his bones. Or I just made that name up. I got a name. Someone named Dallas. Someone named Dallas. Durango. Someone named Durango. He screamed Dallas as he was dying. Dallas! Oh, okay. So all the missions disappear if I don't have enough time for any of them. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So good. I'm glad I did that mission then. Mush mushy.
Hey, Una?
Hey, rented a movie last night. Got me thinking about the old days. Me, you, and Tommy driving around in that old beat-up station wagon.
Women.
And hawking bootleg.
It's what women do when they call you.
$2 a night.
Christ, the taste.
What's the fucking point of this conversation? Do you need me to come to you or what? What do you want? You just want to talk?
Forgetting to rewind the
You just want to talk?
Tommy broke his nose right there on the stove with his kids over a fucking tape.
Yeah, well, he rewound them after that.
Rewound him after
Good
that.
times.
That reminds me of a game.
Guess there's no rewind in this mess, huh? Talk soon.
You bet.
Yeah, sometimes we just want to talk. Dudes are like, I think Family Guy did a bit about that, where like Peter called Quagmire and he was like, "What you thinking about?" Like, did you call me for a reason?
Tell me what you want. Yo-ho! Exclamation mark. Dot dot dot. Also, pee pee poo poo tee hee.
Pee pee poo poo tee hee. Thank you, Charlie Coog. Call sister. That's Una way back when. Love you. Wow. That looks like an old picture of my mom.
Getting you out of there as soon as I can.
And I think Quagmire just hangs up on him eventually because he's in the bath like twirling the phone cord with his toes. And he's like, "What you thinking about?" He's like, "Did you call me for a reason?" Like, "No, I just want to talk," and he just hangs up.
Another day, another chance to get Una out of that mess.
All right, I got to do 3,000. Bonus to bare fist fighting today. Well, let's fucking do this then. $1,000. Oh, there's 1,600 fishing spot. There we go. They're moving H in a yellow Troutwick van. Been creeping around Cammy's. Expect. Hold on. They kind of ended the mission, like, description. They're moving H in a yellow Troutwick van. Been creeping around Cammy's. Expect. Just expect. Expect? Okay. I will expect. Expect. Takedown. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Is this one? Oh, noon, evening, and night. Okay, it's fine. Expecto Patronum? Ooh, I can take a different vehicle. Okay. My only complaint, or one of my complaints thus far in the game, is that when you get in a car, you have to accurately wait before you can accelerate and go, like you're starting the car. It doesn't have the start noise, but you can't just jump in a car and immediately go like in most of these kind of games. You have to wait for a second for you to start the car. But it would be better if they put the starter noise in there, I think, to let me know what's happening. No, I'm not. It's not a car mission. It's a takedown. Takedown usually means beat the shit out of him, right?
5-0. Great. This is Unit 213. We're near location. Clear to respond. Copy that. Can you engage? Dispatch, we have visual. Copy that. Dispatch, we don't have eyes on.
I'll take the job. What?
Let's get this done.
Oh, okay. I still remain wanted. This is a bad plan. Oh, they do move out of the way for you. That's nice. They swerve out of the way. So going down the wrong side is better. Fuck you, god damn it. God damn.
Deploying roadblocks near your position, Unit 213. All units, air support deployed to support pursuit.
Not good.
Oh, there they are. Okay, it is a car mission. Fuck.
Suspect is heading south.
Get out of the ride, bro! All because I clipped one fucking cop. Oh, and 2 of 3 targets were defeated. Somehow. Oh god. Oh god. Get in. Great, I found a fucking Ford Taurus.
Suspect is heading west.
Never mind. We got him. Never mind. We had him. We don't got him anymore. Never mind. Yeah, we got him again. Get moving, you fucking piece of shit! Well,
got it.
I did it! I did it! GG's to me! Have I met Dan yet? Is Dan in this game? I'm gonna hit him in the balls with my car. Finish the mission, cops go away. Fuck yeah, let's go. All right, we got enough cash. Oh wait, no, I got skill to spend. Let's see. What is it? Takedown, okay. Oh, you heal a small amount for each takedown you perform. Heal slowly, okay. Oh yes, I definitely want this. What is this? What's the next one here? Hidden stash. 10% of your money is safe on KO. Stacks with multiple instances of this skill. Okay. Okay. Or Driving inconspicuous. While driving a vehicle, you lose your wanted state faster. I should get that eventually. Yeah, I'm gonna get that next. Because that wanted level just stays around forever. Joyful Panda and Nerok, thank you for the raids. All right, let's see. They all cost 2. There we go. Okay, so I can do this one at night. So let me do one more mission for, let's see, getaway. What's street trial? No, I don't want that one. Oyster Cove Loop, street trial. Take on the Blacktop Club. Race around Oyster Cove and back. Every second counts. Oh, it's a race. Oh, it's evening now.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
Whoop. Yes, you can go up and down on the D-pad. I didn't even think about that to scroll through missions. Yep. Pissing cousins.
Zeke skiff.
Okay, so it looks like
Zeke skiff.
It looks like you can scroll this somehow. So I don't know how to scroll this description though. Ever since Bunny Wallace offed himself, his weirdo cousin has been defiling his headstone every day. Bunny was loyal to us, so it doesn't look good. Go stop that drunk. And then, like, I can scroll somehow. Well, I can't do it on the map. Yeah, no, down on right stick doesn't work. I'm not sure how to scroll the description. Let's focus on player. Yeah, no idea. Also, what are my... Oh, I got the new driver now. All vehicle jobs gain a small reward increase. Okay. So if it's a vehicle job, I should do a vehicle job instead. Press S to scroll. Nope. Nope. R3, L3 does this. R3 does this. Oh, you're joking. Okay. All right, I don't want to do I want to do a race? There's work on Trader Street. Hitters need a wheelman. Black van's prepped. Oh, I got to drive a black van. Oyster Cove Loop. That's the race around Oyster Cove and back. Every second counts. Or, you know what? Let's do that one. Let's drive a black van somewhere.
Oh, not good.
Sorry, not good. Kill a civilian. Oh, oopsie doodles, not good. Poopsie, my bad.
The rich get richer. The cops get meaner.
Let's take the job.
I just get blamed.
Get the van.
Let's go to work.
I love that. Let's go to work. That's from Reservoir Dogs.
You want a hug or something?
Yes, I do actually want a hug. Okay.
The rich get richer. The cops get meaner. And me, I just get blamed for trying to...
And maybe I'll get a new vehicle. Sorry. Oh, one moment, please. Let me just take a look at this. Upper Cobb. Old timers ran a career in the 60s. Red Pistone and Rafi Gowan kept this place in check. I do kind of like that he's from here and he has like, you know, prior knowledge of his like childhood and stuff around this area. Like that's kind of cool. Project Neon with 15 months. Thank you, Project Neon. Wait for our guy. In the van. In the vehicle.
Blue lights, great.
Any units able to respond? Dispatch, this is Unit 213. We're near location. Clear to respond. Copy that. Can you engage? Unit 101, closing in on the suspect. Copy that. Report back when possible.
Dude!
Here, man.
Okay, he's in now. Okay. They're from, we're in Boston, New York. We're in Little Boston, New York.
Zeke Kojo.
As you might imagine, the van is a little bit more difficult to drive. Fuck. I hit the fucking spike strips. Come on, let me lose the cops. Let me lose them. It takes so long. Please, please, please don't follow me. No, 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 no! Fuck! God, it's so frustrating to lose the fucking cops. It takes so fucking long. Even after you're out of their eye line, it takes so long. And they're fucking camped everywhere.
Pussy-ass bitch.
Yep, there's one right to the left there. That's fucking beautiful. How can I lose them when they station the fucking guys right in front of me? Great.
bitch!
Well, the problem is they're chasing you the entire time, so they'll catch up to you.
God damn!
Suspect is heading west.
I seen your face!
Suspect is heading north.
Damn it!
Nope, not a pan spray.
Suspect is heading east.
Put you in the ground! Got your plates!
Suspect is heading south.
No! Fuck! Out now!
I advise on the suspect on St. John's Expressway. Suspect is heading south.
It's us again!
Yep, I lost them and then they got me again.
Out now! Damn it! Oh, fuck! Out now! See your face!
Shake it off.
Out of the car!
Who's next?
We have a visual on Bricktown Narrow Bridge. Suspect is heading north.
Bye, pigs!
Yep, see, they put them right there. What the fuck am I supposed to do? And it just restarts the fucking thing again.
Damn it!
Yeah, see in there.
Damn it!
And they just caught up to me.
See your face! Out of the car!
I advise on the suspect on St. John. Suspect
And they got a helicopter too.
Bye, pigs! See your face!
There's another one right in front of me. Nothing I can do. What a fucking pain in the ass.
Bye, pigs! Got your plates! Pigs on us again!
And it restarts again. That was pretty cool.
See your face! Get out!
Fucking asshole! Fucking goddamn it!
Out now!
Oh, nope. I'm dropping frames again. I'm dropping fucking frames again. Fuck! I don't know what's causing it, man.
Hi, pigs.
See? There's a cop right there.
Got your plate.
Yeah, sorry about the frames, y'all. It should smooth out in just a second. So fucking escaping the cops, what a fucking joke. Oh, sorry, Angenga, I will get, or whoever that is. Sitley? Yeah, Sitley. I will get to your soundbite in just a second.
Take some guard.
So there's one of these that is solid, I guess, and I ran into it.
Hi, pigs.
Take some back.
Nope. See, they catch up to me. The cops keep following. They catch up to me.
Get out! No! Fuck!
And it really doesn't help that this fucking vehicle is like, you know, a van. Now I just have to hope that there's no cops set up in front of me. But there is.
Out of the car! Take some guard! Got your plates! Pigs on us again!
Fuck!
Dead!
Yeah, I'm dropping frames again. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just dropping frames all over the place.
Get out! Got your plates! Oh, crazy!
I don't know. I don't know what to do about this fucking mission or the frames that I'm dropping. I have no clue. Fucking hell, dude. That is such bullshit, dude. That is such bullshit.
Oh, fuck!
I accidentally clipped a cop. And that started like a 30-minute fucking chase that I couldn't get out of.
Better get this thing to a garage soon.
And I'm sure the devs are like, no, it should be difficult to escape the cops. It's a video game, man. That's fucking ridiculous. That you just set up cops. Like, even when I escape them, you set up cops in front of me. At every fucking turn, so I just restarts again. Holy moly. And also, it tells me to go this way. Because I've passed this place so many times. It tells me to go this way.
Out of the car!
And then it tells me to go this way. But the fucking thing is underneath me. See, the goal is not right here. It's fucking underneath where I'm at. And it tells me to take that off-ramp every time. don't do anything stupid. Yeah, see, the pathing is fucking Apple Maps, goddamn bullshit.
Let's do this again.
That's for you, sis.
Fuck's sake, man. That was worth way more than $12.50, man. I'm just telling you right now. That was worth way more than $12.50. All right, you want me to bring back one of my favorites? There, Sitley. Okay, let's see. What are we getting rid of? Oh, no. Oh, that's too big. It's too big. It's gone. Goodbye. It's too big. You know what? I'm not going to bring back one of my favorites. You know what I'm going to do? We haven't had a fart on the board in a long time, so. There you go. There we go. Good. Perfect. Great. Grand. Wonderful. I'm going to put a fart right on the board. Okay. All right. We got about 30 more minutes of today's stream because I got to go pick the lady up from the airport. So we're going to try and get some more missions done. Fart. Just in capital letters. Fart. There we go. Okay. I gotta admit, you driving like this remind me of the Tool story with you and Manaver's game driving past the cops. Oh, yeah. Fuck you, pigs! Banham and Twitch, thank you for the raid. He Who Fights Monsters, thank you for the 7 months. Appreciate that. Okay, now it's time to do the story mission, which is clear across town, but... You know what? Fuck this fucking piece of shit. Why am I playing it? Because it's new, Frail Up. Because I want to see if it was good. And it has definitely some very frustrating parts. Like escaping the cops is a real pain in the ass. I'm sure there's a trick to it, but I'm not getting it. Oh, okay, you got it. You got it, Scott. Yeah, so in this game, my first biggest tip for you is don't get in trouble with the law. Because they will chase you to the ends of the earth, and you will spend a half an hour trying to fucking avoid those assholes. And if you do, like, get a better car. Drashco, thank you for the 3 months. Okay, Tommy pointed me toward a gun guy. Anton something, works down by the canal. Word is, oh, I barely have enough to get through the day. Word is he might be the one who moved Tech 9 from the double tap shooting. I'm gonna head down there, lean on him a little, see what shakes loose. No, wrong button. Okay, let me take some drugs. There, let me take some more drugs. Better, okay. Wait a minute. Stairs? No, I don't want to sit. Close enough. Oh, I can vault. Look at that. And a brick. Point of interest. This old house has seen some bad stuff over the years. In the late 70s, Jerry Muldoon and his crooked cops used to disappear bodies in a vat of acid in the basement. Center sold put him into the Muldoon's operation. Something, something, something. Oh, pipe. Pipe better. Adrenaline shot. I'll take it. All right, you primitive screwheads.
Anton. Hey, yo, open up. I hear you're the man to talk to about a piece.
It's Antoine. Who the fuck are you?
I got some questions about a Tech 9 you might have sold.
Nah, this doesn't smell right. Get this fool.
What? This fool? Oh, you mean me? Who's getting me? Who's getting me? Oh, there you are. Fuck you!
Try that on shithead.
One of us running away from this.
Another round, huh?
Oh, I zapped him!
Hey, keep pushing. Jesus Christ!
Another round, huh? Fine.
There we go.
Next.
Oh, there's a lot of them. Activate! Activate the rush!
Stupid.
What are you doing? Activate your fucking combat rush! Why wasn't he activating it? I was jamming on the sticks. I was pushing down really hard on the sticks.
Be smart out there, Samson. You're patched up, not bulletproof.
What the fuck, dude? When your health reaches 0, you get knocked out. Usually means you lose any cash you were holding and you wake up at a clinic. Any mission will be failed, right? Oh, buy painkillers? No. I'll get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I might have been like stun locked, so I couldn't like, I have to like get into beast mode. Oh, and I don't have a choice. I gotta go home. And now we get to see what happens if I end the day without my debt. Oh, that entire fucking police mission is like the mission I spent like getting away from the cops. All null and void, by the way. All null and void. That half an hour I spent trying to elude the cops while I was dropping frames, all of that meaningless. Yep, they took away all my money. And now we get to see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens.
I'll turn things around.
Okay.
Another day, another chance to get Una out of that mess in St. Louis.
I guess. Oh, debt collectors. I bet I have to deal with debt collectors. They stand outside my car sometimes waiting for me. Okay, we're gonna do this during the daytime. Oh, my car is still fucked up. So that's fun. Wait, what's this one? Fishhead Flats street trial. Okay, it's just another different mission. Okay. But thankfully, my bare fists now have a boosty and an upgrade for the time being.
You trying to kill me?
Where's the money, Lebowski? Don't hit the cop. Whatever you do, do not hit the cop. Okay. There are stairs right here, by the way. Too far away from what? I'm walking to the mission, you fucking chodes! You must gather your party before venturing forth. The current mission will be failed. No, it would have said night mission only. I'm on the mission now. See if that helps. Available. Noon plus evening plus night. It's available anytime.
Piss off.
Maybe it failed it because I went too far, like I went outside the mission parameters or something.
Anton.
There you go.
Hey, yo, open up. I hear you're the man to talk to about a piece.
It's Antoine. Who the fuck are you?
I got some questions about a Tech 9 you might have sold.
You already know who you are. This doesn't smell right. Get this fool.
Fuck!
Good. One of us walking away from this.
I gotta defeat 10 of them. Wait, is my... Yeah, bare fist. Okay, when I'm unarmed, so... There. Let's lose that. There we go. There's one. Okay. I knew there were some painkillers around here somewhere. Okay. Gotta reload the mission.
Hey, back it up. I fight when I get nervous.
Oh, and the painkillers are gone. Yep, those ones are gone too. The adrenaline shots stay. Bottles are gone. Fucking didn't accept the fucking mission.
I have been telling you that I don't hold.
Right. Gotta accept the mission first. There. Now the painkillers are there. Sure, why not? Maybe you died for real last time and I'm in purgatory now? Okay. So knock with a weapon in your hand, and it might work. Customers are waiting for your VHS store to open.
You hear that?
Maybe that's what we do tomorrow.
Sound of this city dying.
Oh, by the way, tomorrow we are starting about an hour early because we're going to watch the Triple I Initiative tomorrow. Ezekiel Triple I Initiative? Yes. Because why? Because it's just an indie game showcase. All right. Grab the wrench. Let's try quitting out of the desktop. Thank you, Adblock, for your ad. I get more ads from Adblock than anything else. It's great. I'm just too lazy to make the switch. Don't take the med. All right, I'll just go right down there, pick up the wrench, and knock on the shit.
I have to tell you that I don't hold grudges. I just talk to you. I swear to fuck, one more thing goes south,
Find the gun dealer. Let's see if his...
ain't nobody more in South Bend
if it will work after quitting the desktop. It'd be funny if that's the only way you get this like mission to work. Is like you got to quit the desktop. If you fail it the first time, you got to quit the desktop. You got to come back in. You got to not pick up any painkillers. You got to run. You got to grab this wrench. No, not the bottle, the wrench. Not the other bottle, the wrench. There you go. And then you go up to the door. Now you knock. And it says, Antoine. Antoine. Okay. No, the mission is just broken. It's just fucked. Wow. This is a story mission. This is a mission I have to do. I managed to make it work once, and now I'm shit out of luck. For serious? Like, do you know that? Am I locked out of this mission now? Is this a known thing? I can't do another mission unless I fucking... I'm wondering if it's just like... Okay, find the gun dealer. It might be just picky. Like, it might be just like, every reload you have a chance for this to work. Is it nighttime yet? No, if he doesn't speak right away, I know it doesn't work. Because he'll speak and say like, Antoine! Or Anton. Yeah, I'm leaving here in about 10 minutes. My save game might be toast, you're right, yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm soft locked. And I don't think there's no way to reload. There's no save. It's just continue. Oh, and also the save is like, it's not spending any of my daytime. Like I should be like out of, I should be out of AP. There we go. Accept defeat. Here we go. Let's try now. Oh, out of AP now. I'm out of AP. Okay, 14 seconds is my last save. Oh, I'm right here. That's how I open the door to my house. What? Okay. Oh, Jesus, she already landed. Fuck. All right, well, that's it. I gotta go. Time to bail. Time to bail. All right, y'all. Tomorrow, we are gonna start a bit early. We're gonna start a bit early because of the Triple I initiative. We're gonna start an hour early to watch the indie game showcase for the Triple I. So I hope to see you there. And then after that, fuck, I don't think we're gonna play this again. Oh, look, just in case you were wondering, there was a crash. Maybe that crash happened and that's what fucking caused it. I don't know. But I don't think we're going to come back to this game until it's fixed. Maybe we just do movie rentals tomorrow. But for now, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow.
Until next time, for all of my Berserkers, and for all of Zekonia, this is me, Zeke, saying, see ya!